Welcome to the Fertility Rewire podcast. I'm your host, Kat Stevens, a fertility therapist, educator, and advocate. I want to share with you what you should have been told, what you should be being told, and basically to arm you on this journey so that you have the right information to be able to ask the right questions to get the answers you need. You can find me at fertilityrewire.com. I hope you enjoy the podcast. So welcome to this episode of the Fertility Rewire podcast. And before I start and introduce my guest, I have a question for you. How many ovulation predictor kit sticks do you think you have used so far? And how many single-use pregnancy tests do you think you've used so far? Because I'm introducing you now to the lovely Lara Solomon, who is from a company called Hoopsy, and we're going to talk more about that. But Lara has set out to aim to reduce this single use of plastic. Now, if you think how many you've been using, this would be a massive difference to the environment. So we're looking at the pregnancy test, first of all, which is the first product, which is 99% paper, which is massive, and it's 99% accurate, which I love the symbiosis of the 99% there, Lara. So let me introduce Lara to you, first of all. She's going to pop on and say hello, and then we're going to start to chat. So Lara, hello.
Hello, Kat. Thanks for having me.
No, it's so good to have you. I'm so excited to hear about this. We're thinking about this single-use plastic, aren't we, and where it ends up. And, you know, I know from my clients and people I speak to just how many tests they're using, depending on how long they've been trying. And it sounds like a big difference. So tell me, what brought all this about, Lara? Why did you do this?
Very good question. So in 2021, I went to Spain and did 2 donor embryo transfers. And before I started that, I joined lots of Facebook groups for women that were trying to conceive or single mothers and that kind of thing. And I just kept seeing all these pictures people putting up of their tests. So some people put 1, some people put 10, some people put more. And I was just like, I had no idea how many tests women used when they tested. And I had no idea the amount of plastic that was involved in all these tests, or just something I'd never thought about. And so I did my transfers. Unfortunately, I wasn't successful, but I just couldn't stop thinking about these tests. And I just thought, why isn't there a better way to do this? This seems so silly. And obviously you can do strip tests, which you dip into a cup of urine, but women prefer midstream tests. And so I just thought, well, there's nothing out there. I'm going to do it.
Good for you. So how did you think about that?
Well, I drew out, I just thought I want something made from to be as plastic free as possible. So paper based. And I contacted lots and lots of manufacturers around the world to try and find someone that would actually work with me to produce this test. And because a sneaky insider fact for people that don't know, inside those plastic pregnancy tests, cases is a small paper test. So all we've done is we've taken that small paper test and made it bigger.
Wow.
In a really simple terms. And we've reduced the amount of plastic that's in the test. So now it's 99% plastic free. The only tiny weeny bit of plastic is like a layer of nail polish thickness, and that's where the results show up. And we're actually working on a second version of the test, which will be plastic free, and that will be out, should be later this year.
Wow, that's fantastic. So the pregnancy test is available, and where can people get hold of that test?
Well, you can buy it online through our website, so hoopsy.co, or you can buy Superdrug online. We're on their website. We're on Chemist for You. We're in a few eco stores, but probably easiest is just to come to our site or Superdrug.
Yeah, and Hoopsy is HOOPSY.co, and I'll that right, and I'll put the link in the show notes for that. Absolutely. So Hoopsy is not just about the single-use pregnancy test, is it? It's not just about that. Tell us a little bit more about Hoopsy, how it was born, and what inspired you and what it does.
Well, let's start with the name. So the word hoop in Dutch means hope. And when you're doing a pregnancy test, obviously you're hoping either that you are or that you aren't pregnant, depending on your situation. And so that seemed very fitting. And then I thought hoops, adding the S, because when you're going through your fertility journey, it's like jumping through a lot of hoops. There's so many ups and downs. And then I added the Y on because it just kind of rounds it out and makes it sound good. But Hoopsy started after my IVF, like 2 donor embryo transfers. Through that, I just kind of couldn't get this out of my mind. Like, I'm not a massive greenie, but I do think about single-use plastic, and I do, try not to use it. And I just thought, I just can't see why we can't do it. Having opened the test and seen that it's just a little piece of paper inside, I just thought, why can't it be all made from paper? There's really no reason. All it is that it's just the way it's always been done. And I really, having been through the IVF journey and egg harvesting as well before that, I'm really passionate about fertility journeys, educating women on their fertility, as well as keeping plastic out of landfill. And I know how hard it is to go through IVF. I know you feel yuck, all those injections, all the highs and the lows and the hoping and then the disappointment. It's so hard. And I just felt that people needed support on that. So we're kind of like, the business I see is first of all, we're about removing plastic from landfill, and secondly, supporting women on their fertility journey, and thirdly, we've got to make some money so we can do the other two. But yeah, I really want to help educate women as well on fertility, because I don't know about when you were growing up, Kat, but I know when I was growing up, it was always don't have sex because you're going to get pregnant. It was kind of like, it was pretty much foregone conclusion.
Yeah, it's really easy, apparently, as soon as you start your periods, isn't it? Really. And that's what I always say, I'm about telling people what they should have been told in school, and not I get why we want to discourage people from having babies. And I know you are more fertile potentially in your teens, but it's just such a confusion that you've been telling your body all this time the worst thing that can happen to you is to get pregnant, but you don't know where the switch is to flick it to say that actually now we're going to think the other way. So yeah, we're on the same lines there for sure, definitely. Brilliant. So what sort of information have you got on the website?
We've got lots of different blog posts all about anything from my journey through to nutritionists, acupuncturists, doctors, have written different articles, basically to try and help people understand what they're going through and gather information from a reliable source. Because the problem often is that you ask in a Facebook group and someone will tell you what someone's told them, or their friends, aunties, cousins told them, and it might not be as accurate as the actual truth. So
I always try and encourage my clients to defer away from Facebook groups and forums, because there's a big difference between fact and opinion. And when you see that something has worked for somebody else, I mean, I often say in podcast episodes, just because it worked for Jane doesn't mean it's going to work for you. There's a reason why it's worked for Jane. And I have people, and I'm sure you come across it as well, that they've read that melatonin can help, so they take that, and they've read that DHEA can help, so they take that, and they're taking all of these supplements without any professional advice and without knowing why. It's putting all your eggs, excuse the pun, in one basket, isn't it? But not necessarily with the right ingredients. That's really what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's really hard because everyone is different. And even when you do IVF, they start off by giving you pretty much the same as everyone else. And then they realize that actually that affects your body in this way or that way. And then they have to change it. And I think it's so important that what your situation is and what you actually need, rather than saying, well, everyone needs iron or everyone needs this, whereas actually too much of things is not good either.
No, and more thorough testing, but I could harp on about that
all
day, every day, but don't get me started on that. So what's next for Hoopsy, Lara? What have you got coming up? What's the plans for the future?
Oh my goodness, we've got so much coming up. It's crazy. But Well, very next thing that's coming up is we're launching an online community. And I know you just said you don't like forums, but ours is actually going to have a lot of experts in it. So rather than a group that's not monitored and doesn't have professionals in it, ours will have, fertility experts and doctors, nurses, acupuncturists, all that kind of thing. So the idea is that you can get support from other women going through the journey, but also you can get some accurate information if you are looking for information or do have questions. So we've actually got a wait list for that at the moment, which is very exciting. So that launches in February. And then we'll be launching an ovulation test in second half of this year. So kind of July, August time. And then we've got our 100% natural organic test coming out hopefully at the end of the year, beginning of next year. So lots of things going on. We're it's going to be a great year for us.
Oh wow, that's really exciting. So 100% recyclable. Wow.
Yeah,
and that's to get rid of that tiny bit of plastic that's like a bit of nail varnish, you were saying, that covers.
Yeah, it's to get rid of of that. But also we want to make sure the materials we're using are as sustainable as possible. At the moment, because we developed it with the manufacturer, there's potentially other options. So when I launched the test in July last year, the pouch that the test comes in is actually plastic, which is not ideal. And we've now actually found that we've got a compostable pouch option. So the next production run we do will use the compostable pouch. So we're trying to just improve things all the time to get to that best possible product, not just one that works, but also is good for the planet.
And then how does it compare cost-wise with the conventional test that people have?
It's about the same amount. So in terms of if you bought Clear Blue or First Response, it would be the same on a per test basis. We sell in a 3, a 5, and a 10 pack. So slightly bigger pack sizes because it's more efficient to ship bigger pack sizes. And also we know that women don't just use one test.
Yeah. No, I love that because you can't even say, I'm going out of my way to do this because it's green. It's the same price. The accuracy sounds the same.
Yeah.
So, why not? You're doing a bit of extra good there for sure, thinking about the planet. And it makes me think about IVF as a whole because the plastics that are used in the whole process are huge. You think of the syringes and all of that, that's not going to change. We've moved on from glass syringes, from many years ago. So that's not going to change. But it's things like the progesterone pessaries and, an applicator, a single use applicator for each of the progesterone pessaries. It's just bonkers that you would.
Well, I actually reused mine. I ended up washing them between and reused them.
Yeah. But still you were prescribed them. So you would have still have had them.
I know.
That's the thing. And you're still given them, aren't you?
Yes.
Each time.
And you can't. I mean, you can, I don't know if you've seen now, you can actually recycle blister packs. Some pharmacies will take the empty, pill packets and they can be recycled, but that's still not done that widely.
No. And it's like, if you go on to a shop with a loyalty card and you forget your loyalty card and they say, it's all right, we'll print it on your receipt. How many people go back? And because I say to them, there's no point. I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to remember to come back that I've got points on a receipt in my purse next time. Same thing. You have to make an extra trip to go to the pharmacy. So whilst I applaud that in principle, it's still a lot of work. We've got to make things easier for people so that almost we get to the point where there isn't a choice, that everything is recyclable or biodegradable in that sense.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I really applaud what you're doing there, Lara. It sounds like a brilliant idea, and I'm sure it took a lot of persistence and work to find a company to make it because, people say, don't they, if it's not broke, why fix it? If people are using these ovulation sticks, there hasn't been a big cry out from people that they want it to be recyclable. So I think that's fantastic. And although I don't like forums, I like moderated forums. I do like moderated.
Oh, good.
Yes, I do like moderated forums with experts in there. And of course, not experts discounting other people's information, but just that discussion. And what I love is you get different experts of fertility in a room, especially if you've got a doctor and you've got a holistic therapist and you've got, you know, somebody like me who's educating and providing that information. It could be an interesting discussion, that really, couldn't it? Because you know, I do go
definitely
on about the health model for fertility is wrong on so many levels of wrong, and people aren't getting the support that they need. So hopefully this is another step forward for people to get that support. Really, that's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's so important that all these topics are talked about, because I mean, it was great when Jennifer Aniston came out last year about doing IVF, because just the more people that talk about it and normalize it, the easier it is for people that are going through it.
Yeah. And the pain of, you know, all that speculation on her, you know, that everyone has on their own level and their own bubbles, don't they? And you know, having come through Christmas and the holidays recently, it's a horrendous time where people ask insensitive questions, which is none of their business. It's you know, it's a silent pain, and it becomes this secret stigma, doesn't it? And it is it's good to get it out there in a safe space, you know, a safe space where, because, you know, people, when they work with me and you know, when people give testimonials and things, I never share their name, because it's such a private experience and people don't want that publicized. Same in my group program, you know, people need to be safe. There's a direct messaging option and there's the group option, because even in a small group you don't always feel comfortable sharing it, do you? So no, that's brilliant. Well, I'm very excited for what you've got going on now, and also for what the future holds. So you've got the online community that's coming up, and you've got the ovulation test that's coming up as well, and also, for the listeners of the podcast, I'm going to share in the show notes a link that Lara has given me that will allow you to get your hands on a free sample of the pregnancy test. Be good to have that one in the cupboard, wouldn't it? Ready and hopefully waiting.
Definitely, because I think when it's a new product, even though pregnancy test is not new, it's a new way of delivering it. People kind of have preconceived ideas. I've had a lot of people say, but when you wee on it, won't just the paper disintegrate? I'm like, well, and then you're like left holding this little piece. And I was like, well, no, because it's actually more like card than paper. And it's fine, it holds its shape. But I think it's good for people to actually try it firsthand and see that it does work, and you know, you do have a result. And it's I think pregnancy tests are so expensive, especially if you've been trying for a long time. So this is a good way to try it, but not have to worry, oh, I've bought a 3-pack and now it's not actually what I want. So it's a really good way to reduce the risk on that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, for everything that you're doing in the community, as for the environment as well, I think it's fantastic. So I'll put that link in the notes. So whatever platform you're listening on, just scroll to the notes and you'll find that link, and you can get your hands on a free Hoopsy pregnancy test. Are the tests called Hoopsy as well? I've said that. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Hoopsy Eco Pregnancy Test.
Perfect. That's brilliant. Well, Lara, it's been fascinating talking to you. And, you know, like I said, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for what you've got coming in the future. And something else you can find on Hoopsy, actually, because I have been on the Hoopsy website, is that, you know, links to podcasts. And I'm happy to say that I have featured on that. So that's very exciting. And so, you know, if you're looking for reliable resources that somebody is recommending, someone who's been through what you're going through, then have pop over to hoopsy.co and see what's on there and see what resources you can get, because as the more education and right information that we can get to people, the more people move from hope to trust. It's something I talk about a lot. I don't know if you can see, Lara, we're on Zoom here. I have a necklace that I wear here, and on one side it says hope and on the other side it says trust, and that's always been something I've used depending on the mood I'm in for the day ahead of me, to do with other medical issues. But I love the fact that Hoopsy comes from hope. I did a little clutch to my chest there, to my necklace. I'm not entirely sure which side it's on today, but there we go. So rambling, I do apologize. So all the information will be in the show notes. Fantastic things coming from Lara in Hoopsy. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we finish, Lara?
I just wanted to say, if anyone wants to get in touch, I know sometimes when you're going through stuff, it is hard when you're going through IVF and that kind of thing. And if anyone does want to reach out and talk to me about their journey and what they're doing, and just have someone to download to or whatever, I'm more than happy to be there, because it's hard. I know it's hard, and I had people there for me when I was going through it. I had one friend who she'd done 8 embryo transfers before she got her daughter, and all through IVF. And so I was, I just think it's important that we support other people that are going through the journey. Yeah,
absolutely. Brilliant. And where will people get hold of you? Have you got socials that I can share? We can get those off you.
Yeah. You can find us on Instagram, just Hoopsy Co on Instagram, or if you go to the website, there's a contact form. You can email or you can WhatsApp, or call, whatever you prefer. There's actually a lovely lady I was talking to before Christmas, and this is a really nice story, Kat, because she messaged and said, when can I use the tests? I'm 7 days past ovulation. And I said, we talked about her cycle length and everything and kind of established what would be the best day. Anyway, she ordered and we sent them out to her. And then I got a message after Christmas showing me a picture of her test saying, can you just confirm what my result is? Oh. And she was pregnant. So and that's what she wanted. Yeah. So it was such a lovely story. It's so lovely to be part of those moments. For sure. Yeah.
No, it is. It's working in fertility is hard because of what you're coming across, and who, for myself, who you're helping, and their stories, but actually that feeling of being able to help someone, and not just to get pregnant, actually, because there are different things that people see as successes before that, but to be part of that journey and part of that success, that's fantastic. That's a nice thing to have been able to see.
It is. And I think a lot of people going through it is about reassurance, isn't it? Because rationally they probably already know, like they can already read the test or whatever it is, but they just want someone else to reassure them that it is right and they are doing the right thing. And I just think it's great to be able to offer that.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Lara. Thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I wish you every success with all of the endeavours with Hoopsy coming in the future.
Thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And whether you're trying for your first child, your second child, or more, whether you've just started on your journey or you've been on the twists and turns of this for a long time, I really hope this information is going to help you ask the right questions to get the right answers. And if you want to know any information about Fertility Rewire, about working with me, or the free resources that I have available, please visit www.fertilityrewire.com. Until next time.